This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded July 13th, 2016, episode 307, call-in show number 5.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
It's a call-in show.
Call-in show.
Song and dance routine. Da, 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 da.
We only have one caller, Dave. I am excited about this one caller, but yeah, I don't. Part of this is on me. I think I did put 8:30 a.m. on the look up your time thing, so that may have put people off.
Did you screw the time up again?
Yeah. It's always the units. It's always the units.
Just put an event calendar on timeanddate.com.
No, I did. I put the wrong date in there. The wrong time in there, rather.
Garbage in, garbage out.
That's right. Garbage in, PEBCAC. Yep.
Well done.
Usual crap. But
all right.
Well, we do have some a bunch of people wrote in who couldn't make it, so we will have open loop questions.
Excellent.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Open loop questions.
Yeah.
Did you just invent that?
No, I mean that's what it is, right? It's just we don't have any feedback from them, so it's open loop, right?
Right.
Yeah. Works out great for us. We're always right.
Does that mean that we're just going to saturate and overload?
The feedback system is email. It's not very responsive, I got to say. Okay, well, let's talk to our real person first, and maybe we'll get a couple stragglers on Twitter. But if not, I don't really mind.
Let's get a real human on. All right.
Human.
Nerds don't talk to humans.
Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name's Alexander. I'm calling from Toronto, Ontario.
Hey,
welcome.
Alexander.
From our not Dave's northern cousin, my northern cousin. How you doing, man?
Everything's north from here.
Hey, not too bad. Yeah, Cleveland is not far away at all.
Well, I grew up in Buffalo too. It's like I basically grew up half Canadian, So.
Yeah, Buffalo's like an hour away.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, an hour, maybe by boat.
Oh, that's true. You have to go around the lake.
Yeah.
And it's super hot there.
Yeah, we're having an extremely hot week. I'm surprised it's not as hot in Cleveland because I heard it was coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, but it was like 41, 42 degrees, especially in our third floor apartment.
Celsius for those playing along at home.
I was going to say, it's like 50 degrees hotter here. It was like 93 F today, so yeah, it's pretty spicy.
Yeah, it was cooking.
Cool. So, what do you having issues with? What do you want to talk about?
So my question was, I'm an electronics engineering student going to college here in Toronto, and my first semester I took math, and I actually failed it.
Yeah, well, that's not uncommon.
But
I failed a math class.
Yeah, but I had a decent teacher, but I just found, especially near the end of the course, really difficult. And then the second semester, I actually dropped the course because our teacher was so awful. He basically signed up there's a major textbook manufacturer. They have like an online course.
Uh-huh.
The teacher basically signed up for that, had us all sitting at computers while he sat at the front of the room and said, I'm here if you needed to ask any questions.
Great.
It was just a nightmare.
So you quit the whole course or just the math class?
Just the math class, I dropped it.
Okay, but I thought they were compulsory.
They are, so I'm going to have to take it again.
Right.
So that's why I'm calling to wonder how you guys got through math, because I know that you guys both have some college education. Dave, you seem to be really, I know you're not a mathematician by any shot, but whenever you do formulas on the board, you always seem to be quite into it. And that's the thing, when there's an application behind it, like when I'm calculating stuff for, a switching power supply, I find it really interesting and easy, but all the theoretical stuff just drives me nuts.
Yeah, no, look, I've always said that I suck at math. I absolutely, or maths, as it's called here. I actually, this is one of the rare instances I prefer is it the American math?
Yeah, I don't say maths. I say math.
Math.
I have no S.
I actually prefer math because it's hard for me to say maths. Maths. It almost turns out like mass here. Yeah. Anyway, I suck at it. Those formulas and stuff that I do on the board are like they're kid stuff, right? They're real easy stuff. But when you start getting into the the integrals and the differentials and the real math, the real engineering math. And I don't enjoy it at all. And I've never really had much practical application for them in industry. Really?
You never had to use math when you were working, I guess at Altium you were doing PCB design, but you never had to use it in jobs at all?
I've said this many times that I've been in the industry maybe 25 years. I have not solved an integral once. Not once. I have used the concept. It's not uncommon. I've used the concepts of integrals, right? It's very important to know, right? And I do like integrals from the concept of like an integrator circuit and all that sort of jazz. But as far as actually solving integrals and triple integrals and all that sort of stuff,
integrals, you're right. Integrals are interesting in the area under the curve. It tells you a lot, but then when you get into more advanced stuff, it just does not interest me at all.
It sucks.
And as you said, it's compulsory, so it's kind of like I have to just grudge through it somehow. But what about you, Chris? You went to college, did you not?
I did, yeah. I was like I said, I definitely dropped the course. I was just completely flailing in that course. And flailing, I guess I was failing and flailing. But yeah, so my tip for that is, I think you were spot on with the first semester where you said you had a really good teacher, is definitely target the teachers that are willing to get into it with you, that have good sessions, have good TAs, stuff like that. That's a huge piece. And then another one would be, Dave's going to get a little sick to his stomach hearing this, but find people and just get through it together. Or even if you don't know people, like have study sessions. Like the only way I got through a lot of my courses is having people that I could study with, bounce ideas off of, because nothing's worse. I still have that. I still remember the feeling of when midnight hits. Not that it was like ever I was going to bed at that point, but just like where like midnight hits and you're like one problem deep and you have 6 more to go, and you know that each problem takes like an hour and a half, and it's like there's no worse feeling. Like there's no worse like just screw it, I give up kind of feeling, And especially when you have that reference point of I don't even need this. When you
start to stress about it, you just give up. Basically, that's how I always was. I would start to stress about it, and just be like, why am I even bothering? As I know, most engineers say they never even use this, right? And that would just get into my head.
Exactly.
And drive me
nuts.
The
motivation, is not there, and I struggled a lot. If I was to do it again, I would get a tutor. I would totally, because I suck
if you can afford it, sure. Yeah, I mean,
I suck at the discipline required to study. I've never been a good studier. It's like I've always relied on the fact that I've known engineering ever since I was a kid, 6 years old. Like before I got to do formal study, right, I already knew a ton of stuff, so that I always relied on that to sort of get me through rather than, and that was probably a mistake.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. All my other courses, we were learning C, which I already knew. I know C really well.
Right.
PCB design, how to solder. It's like stuff I've been doing for years. So I got extremely good marks in every other course except for math, which I bombed.
So there are some math that I actually like. Complex numbers, for example. I loved complex numbers. Matrices. I love solving matrices and stuff like that. But no, the other, like the real hardcore math, that's not hardcore math to the,
but I would say another thing would be like if you can find an application for the actual topic. So you mentioned integrals, right? That's a great topic, right? So if you start looking at that kind of stuff and you actually find an application for it, look at like a capacitor, right? So like how that math ends up affecting it. Maybe you can start to create that mental model around it, because at least for me personally, when I have that mental model to go back to, at least I have something to grasp onto to kind of visualize. It's just some people are really good with just the straight numbers chunking through problems. I'm not like that. It sounds like both of you guys aren't like that either. And having some kind of like reference point like that's really important for me. On the rest of it, like, we're gonna hear from some people. There's some people in the audience right now that are fuming and saying like, oh, well, I went on to get a PhD and I needed all this crap. And it's like, yeah, there are. And like, that's what a lot of this stuff is built for, taking it further and further, especially from a theoretical basis. But, like it sounds like you already kind of know where you want to go towards. So
yeah, I want to specialize in embedded stuff. It's like it depends on what you end up working with and what area of embedded you're in. If you're working on cars or something, you might need it, but or if you're building a rocket working at SpaceX, you might need it. But if you're just building a TiVo or something, might not be as useful.
Actually, there is. I just remembered. I did a cameo in a video that is up on YouTube. I just sent Chris the link, and it's about the relevance of math in engineering and how if you get it wrong you don't get to Mars. Like it's
I watched it. It's hilarious. That was a great video. It was great.
Yeah, so
where's the time mark on this thing where we can find Dave?
I'm like 8 minutes 40.
You're at the end. Yeah, I see. 8:50.
Yep. But so it's a bit long, but this was produced by a local uni, Swinburne Uni here in Australia, and they approached me and said, "Hey, we want to do this video to show the relevance of math in engineering, because everyone goes, you never use it and stuff like that." So they did this whole Mars thing, and it's really quite well done.
It is really well done. That actress was amazing. They did a really good job on it.
Yep. It's really produced very well. Like, and they actually got her like in spacesuit, and like pretending to be on Mars and digging up samples and stuff. It's really quite involved. So we'll definitely link that in. But over on the EEV blog forum, this topic always comes up again and again. And just recently, like last month, there was a big to-do and a lot of, there's usually opinions one way, there's two camps. There's those that think, you cannot be a good engineer unless you know the math, unless you're good at it. There are those who go, no, screw it. I'll never, you can be a fantastic engineer without the math and it doesn't matter. And it's like, well, both are true.
Right. It's very important to talk to like what their job actually is, right? Because someone working at like Livermore or a particle accelerator doing like hardware probably still needs to know that stuff, right? But there's
the other argument is that those who are really good at the math will be able to solve problems better because they will be able to understand it at a more fundamental level and analyze it at a more fundamental level. Now that's also true, but there is a downside to that, as I found a lot of not always, but in a lot of cases, the math nerds who really love it, they always try to break everything down to fundamental math when you shouldn't. It just it just complicates things and you can't get things done because somebody who doesn't know the math, right? They might solve the problem 10 times quicker than the math nerd, because they just don't get bogged down in all that detail. And there's cases where that helps and there's cases where that hinders. So, but overall, I agree. If you're better at math, you're going to be a better engineer. I would err towards that side, definitely.
Yeah, and I wish I could enjoy it. I know that if I enjoyed doing it, it would really help. And there are some times when I do, as you said, matrices. There's a chip that Intersil makes. It's an RGB color sensor where you actually have to solve a matrix to get the luminosity from the RGB samples.
Oh, really?
And it's I wish I could just do that, but it took me ages of research trying to figure out how to do it. So I wish I could enjoy it, and I'm sure a lot of engineering students feel the same way.
No, you applied. That would be the majority. I would say the majority of engineering students do not like, and engineers in the industry do not like heavy math. Anyway, I enjoy simple math that I understand because I'm a dummy at it. But
same.
Yeah, it's because I'm no good at it. That's why I don't enjoy it. It just never floated my boat. Apart from, say, complex numbers, matrices. When I first learned those, I thought, wow, this is, it really opened my eyes, and I thought, wow, these are really useful, and I understand these. But I never really got that same sense of satisfaction from the differentials and the integration and all the other, heavy-duty stuff. So,
unfortunately, I bought a really expensive Texas Instruments calculator, and so I want to know how to use all the advanced features. So that's another motivation.
No, I survived math, barely, like by the skin of my teeth, by simply doing, previous exams. And I felt I never really understood it properly, but I sort of just did enough to sort of, bluff my way through it kind of thing. And, I thought, well, that I don't like it anyway. So that was, it was good enough, right? I was sort of done, But yeah, as I said, if I would go back and do it, I would get a tutor and I'd really try and understand it better than what I did.
Yeah, we have free tutoring at our school, luckily, although I think you only get an hour or two a week, but I should take advantage of it. I was using it for other courses in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really,
but you got to have
nice.
Somebody who's passionate about it, I don't deal well with people who don't have the same sort of level of passion as I do.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely
like
relate
if they're
to
any
that.
more passionate about math, then they
right.
are more passionate than you. Right.
But no, if they're just going, just do this and do that, that's no. I want enthusiasm. Here's where it relates, and all that sort of relevance and excitement. And, yeah.
Well, hey man, good luck. You get. Unfortunately, no one can do it for you. That is the test. So.
I know.
But
yes, that's true. There's just one other thing I wanted to say before I go. Dave, a while ago, you got a really strange mailbag item. It was a USB warmer.
Oh yes, the whole warmer.
Yes, that was me, and I wish you had found it funnier.
Thank you very much.
What was it again? A hole warmer?
A hole warmer. Go on eBay and search for hole warmer.
No, I don't think I will.
Big Clive did a video about it, and I thought it would be hilarious to send Dave one. And he was just very confused, although you did start laughing later on. But at first you were really confused. It was funny. Anyway, guys, have a good night. Thanks so much for having me on. And I'll be sure to listen this week as I do every week.
Cool.
Right,
thanks Alexander. All the best, mate.
Have a good night.
All right.
Math.
I'm more stuck in a hole warmer.
You're obsessed with hole warmers now.
I'm very confused by that term, but I'm sure I can figure it out.
You're an engineer. You can figure it out.
I don't want to.
What do you think a hole warmer does?
I don't want to.
Warms holes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all we got.
Hang on. Speaking of math nerds.
Yeah.
David too is coming over today.
Yeah. So it's been a long.
Yeah, it's been many months. Because he's been doing stuff from home. Anyway, he's coming over to shoot the breeze on some projects we're working on, just to, go through stuff. And he's a math nerd. He sort of loves it, And I think I've talked about this on here before. So. And everything he tries to bring down to, I can solve this, it's like, dude, you don't need to.
Right.
But, just whack in a 10K, it'll be fine. But I can solve it from first principles,
I get that one a lot too.
It probably helps that his mum's a teacher. His mum's a math teacher, I think, or one of his parents is a math teacher. Mm-hmm. So that probably is where he got that from, no doubt. But yeah, he gets just as excited over that as regular electronics, Good on him.
Good on him. That's right.
I'm jealous of anyone who's really good at math because I always sucked at it and, Yeah. But it hasn't really hindered me. I can't say it's ever really hindered me. I wouldn't say
Dave,
never.
I'm not worried about it, man. It's
anyway, it's nothing that's it's nothing that I have never been in the industry and just threw my hands up and gone, I can't do this.
Okay, so I'm going to send you the next question here.
Yes, we have these open loop questions.
Yes, open loop. All right, so I'm going to read this out loud. This is an anonymous software geek.
That's a long one?
Yeah, it's a multi-parter.
Oh, God.
So I have a power supply with 3 ports, red, green, and black. Remember, this is a software geek, so this is a little beginner, but it's not. I think it's actually a really good question.
Are we talking about a physical power supply? We're not talking about a virtual...
Correct.
Theoretical black box power supply.
Bench single supply.
Right.
Yeah.
Red, green, and black. Yes.
Right.
Green is earth.
Exactly. Green is earth. Black is ground. Black is neutral/ground.
Yep. So right there, we've established this as a single rail supply.
Right.
Right.
So this person says, I usually connect black and green together. Is there a reason not to do that? Is it good practice or a bad one? And I've seen all my EEs do it, so I copy the behavior, but I don't know why they do it. That is the initial question.
Should we answer them one by one, or should we
Well, I think that's just the first question.
Should
these
we...
one by one. Is there a reason not to do it? Well, yes, sometimes when you don't want to be earth grounded, that is one reason to do it.
No, I would always do it. By default, I do not connect. But because watch my video, how not to blow up your oscilloscope. By default, you want your power supply, whatever that may be, to be isolated. It's safer and better. But it's not necessarily better, but only if you have an issue with the ground system, then you would look at earthing your power supply. By default, I do not like.
I don't personally do it. No. I don't personally do it, but I would say if you do it, then you better be darn sure everything is, right? So if you have a cheater plug on your laptop, or if you have a cheater plug on your scope, or a cheater plug anywhere, at least in the States.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? This is an action, right? You're actually deliberately tying the output to mains earth. Why is the question? If you don't know why, then why did you do it? Right?
Right.
That's why, by default, the supply should be isolated. Okay,
you should not. So I think we should probably also mention
why.
What it is too, right? So normally there's actually a separate ground, and depending on the type of power supply it is, it may be actually transformer isolated from earth ground in the first place. What you're doing,
they're almost always.
Yeah, right. But if it's a switching supply, it might not be.
I don't know a lab supply that's not.
Yeah, if it's a switching supply though, and you put someone
even
put a
switching
red, green,
supplies
black.
They are, but they're capacitively coupled back. Anyway, let's not go there.
Yeah. So, but what you're doing then is basically you're doing an end around then, basically saying, okay, well, black is isolated normally, and there may be some leakage, but you're isolated from earth ground, and then you're just tying them right back together. And yes.
Yep. So you're bypassing the isolation on the transformer. That's basically what you're doing.
Right. And so another reason that this happens in the first place is because you can stack supplies, right? So that's what a lot of people do, at least on mine. I have, like if you start looking at those triple output supplies, and I'm not telling this to Dave, I'm telling this to people listening that don't know. Dave knows this, believe me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do.
Yeah. Well, David, let me tell you something if you don't know this about power supplies.
I've been around the blocks around the block a few times.
Is you can stack supplies. So like I've got two 30-volt outputs.
You can how do you mean? Series
so
or
you
parallel?
can connect the so if black on the supply 1 is black red, you can do 30 volts on that. You can connect the black on supply 2 to the red on supply 1, and then the output is another 30 above that on the red of supply 2. So then you can have a total of 60 volts from the black on supply 1 and the red of supply 2.
I explained that in a recent video.
Ah, nice. We should link that in. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So stacking power supplies is a very common thing, and the only reason you can do that is because you are not earth grounded. If both of those supplies were earth grounded, you'd never be able to stack them. What you'd be doing is, if 1 and 2 were both, were earth grounded, then basically
you'd be shorting out the lower one.
Right, exactly. It would blow it up pretty fast.
Quick.
If there wasn't current limiting. Mm-hmm. So So that's the why, and this is a good question. I mean, it really is, because if people haven't seen it before, I think
In fact, I debated whether or not I should do a separate video on that. I sort of included it in this recent video where I was testing a little switch mode power supply for aircraft, model aircraft, and
cool.
And so I did a little mini tutorial in there. Look, this is how, because I needed 60 volts, right? So I had to put 2 in series, and so I thought, oh, geez. That should probably be a separate little 5-minute video explainer on its own.
You can just reference people to the timestamp on the Amp Hour YouTube.
I could, but it's not as good. Then I don't get the views and the SEO. I've got mouths to feed.
Dave, don't be like that.
What?
Yeah.
Says he who is in charge of the media, bloody social media crap.
Yeah, right.
You're right.
Okay, so there was other questions here. So I guess this is... so what if my power supply has 2 or 3 power sources? So that already was in there, I suppose. I didn't see that second part of the question.
Well, hang on. We didn't explain why you would do it.
Why you would do... Oh, why you should connect black to green.
But I don't think, that's hard. You really need a system example, and... It can be for many reasons. So why
Earth ground's the cleanest ground that I know of. You're
Well, it depends whether or not what you're referencing your other signals to in your product and what measurements you're doing and things like that. Common mode noise. I've done a video on that. And even I think it's like a 30, 40-minute video on how to explaining what common mode noise is and earthing power supplies and isolating and coupling between primary and secondary and capacitive coupling, all that sort of stuff. And even that wasn't I didn't go into enough detail because there's so many variables in the system that you design and measure that,
Yeah. Well, so other reasons are safety. I think that if you do know what your ground system is and you do have the potential to dump a bunch of current, it can go back through a black. I mean, it can go back through the local ground on your power supply. It wants to return there anyways. But if you need to just dump it all in a safety situation, then going to earth ground is another option.
Sorry, I just had a courier at the door.
Oh, that was fast.
I didn't hear anything you said there. That was bad.
Oh, I was just saying that safety was another reason.
Safety, yes. Yes, safety can be a reason, or it could be noise. It could be common mode noise. It could be whatever. Yep. So.
Yes, there's a lot of reasons. Okay, so are there any other... Is this how ground loops start is another question. Man, this is a lot of questions here. Anonymous Software Geek, this is a lot of questions. Is this how ground loops start? Those mysterious electronic elements that I've heard of but don't understand. Possibly, but...
It can do, yes.
Basically, in that case, if you're tying some things to earth ground, other things not, then it would have been like the current would be sourcing through that ground to earth ground, right? Everything wants to get to the earth ground then, and so it might end up going through that supply to get to the earth ground. So it is possible.
Loops like that can happen when you connect, your power supply is mains earth grounded, and then something you plug on the output of your product is also mains earth grounded, and you can get current flowing through in a loop around through the earth system. So that's also how noise, common mode noise and stuff like that. Anyway, we won't go into details, but yes, that can have something to do with it, certainly. You may have experienced this on home audio gear and stuff like that. That's double insulated, and you may hear like a hum.
Yep.
On your cable, like you touch the ground of the cable and you start hearing a hum or something like that. Then that can be caused by this sort of thing. So.
Right, so we can't necessarily answer there's no like specific situations here, but if you're thinking about grounding, then you're probably off on the right foot. It's probably not a good idea to start with everything tied together. Well,
if you're thinking about grounding, then as I said, you need a reason. You have to have something that you go,
you're saying earth grounding.
Is this a ground issue? If you're earth ground.
Right.
Yeah. I use that. A lot of people comment on this in my video. I'll just interchangeably use the terms earth and ground and and they go, there'll be sticklers out there who'll go, oh, that's not the correct term. Ground means mains earth, and you shouldn't use that. You should say common or something,
Yeah.
I don't know. I granted that could be very confusing for beginners. What is the difference between negative, common, ground, and earth, right?
Yeah.
Well, and neutral in a multiple earth neutral MEN system that we have here in Australia. The neutral is effectively tied to earth, but only back at one point at your fuse box. And so there's four different terms for often the same thing that you're talking about, the common point in a circuit. Yep. So I guess I should be more rigorous in that.
We all should be, because it's so easy to say ground, and then it's like, what does ground mean?
Exactly. The ground. If you say ground to a energy transmission, to a power guy, it means. I think it means like the physical ground, soil.
It sure should better, or else they're gonna die.
Right. Yeah. So we're pretty lazy in that respect, and guilty as charged.
Speaking of electrical issues, so I had some house work done. And I had an inspector come through and stuff like that. And I found out...
Did you do it yourself?
No, I had done stuff previously, but they were like basically looking at my old work as well. And and so I'm allowed to do some stuff by myself here. You're not really supposed to touch any of your stuff in Australia unless you're licensed.
Illegal here.
Yeah. It probably should be here, to be honest, given the quality of my work. Although the electrician did say I did an okay job on everything. So
an okay job, right?
Yeah. Well, it passes code basically.
Right. Okay. Right.
But what I did find out is that the violations were actually nothing that I did or nothing that the work that they were doing. It's that my entire house is knob and tube wiring, and so I have no grounds.
Sorry, what's that? Tube?
Knob and tube. It's
knob and tube. I've never heard that.
So the way they used to do it is basically they would take a hot and a neutral, and they would a hot and a ground, I guess in that case, because they're but it was only two wires sent up through the wall. It wasn't Romex. So basically Romex is that the two conductor stuff that's kind of encapsulated together. And
is that like a brand?
Romex. I don't know what Romex is. It's a brand name, I guess, but I'm not. It's probably like Kleenex, kind of. It's everybody calls it Romex, but it probably started as like a trademark thing.
There you go. It's on Wiki. Knob and tube wiring.
Yeah, exactly. And so the problem with it though is that there's no earth grounds. I mean, there's no grounding. Three-prong sockets everywhere. I have some three-prong sockets in my house,
but only two would be wired up.
And and I always was under the assumption
so illegal here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it should have been here too. Basically, what happened is I didn't check that when I moved into this house.
And so you didn't. No, that's the first thing I did when I moved in. Is go around with my checker. I've got one of those little neon checkers that you plug in. It makes sure they're all wired correctly. And I went and checked every power point. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So if my
wow. So you had no earth.
I had, exactly. On all of my, especially the big stuff too, like the fridge and the microwave, anything with a big compressor or what is it called, a cyclotron on a microwave? I forget what that thing's called. The spinning microwave part.
It's got
a big transformer. I know that. And so nothing. And I've always been I selectively I better be safe and plug this one into the 3-prong outlet. It didn't matter. It hasn't mattered the entire time. So yeah.
Wow.
Yep, fixing that.
America.
That's right. Home ownership is not great. Yeah.
Oh, love it. Yep. Guns and wiring freedom.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so did we answer all these? We didn't answer all these questions.
No, hang on. No, hasn't he got more? He's got something about JTAG.
Yeah, you can read that one. I'm going to pull up the next question.
If I'm connecting to my computer, such as through JTAG or TTL serial to USB, the ground in that cable connects my computer to the board. But these same grounds are also connected at the wall, right? Correct. Is that good or bad? I've done a whole video on this. He simply needs to watch my video. It explains it in great depth with diagrams and everything.
Gotcha.
Yep. Are there times I should use a laptop to avoid this two-ground connection? Yes, there are times that you should, but not all laptops are isolated. Well, if you're using the internal battery, obviously, if you disconnect the power cord, but if you actually go measure it, go physically measure. You put your multimeter on ohms and measure the negative of the power cable, like the negative that plugs into your laptop, and mains earth on the other side, and you'll find that they're often either permanently connected or low impedance, like a K or something like that. So, beware. Trap for young players.
Yep. Okay. Well, that was a great question, though. Overall, great question, and
totally.
Lots to learn there. And be safe, please. Yep. And thank you.
And a very a difficult one to grasp sometimes, especially in its entirety. So, but stick with it. He's got another question.
No,
3 sucks of the Sav.
We're good there.
No, we're good. Okay.
Yeah.
Done.
Okay, so next one. This one is from Xander. So I looking for career advice. I'm an electronics.
Oh yeah, we like career advice.
Yeah, electronics technician with an associate's degree, working second shift at a so-so job, and I would very much like to earn an EE degree and put my practical knowledge to use in design. What are your recommendations for getting the knowledge I need while keeping a roof over my head?
Well, you don't necessarily have to get to which country? Does he say which country he's from?
I believe this is
that
US.
matters.
Yeah.
US, okay, maybe it's different here, but you don't necessarily need to get the degree to do design work. And that is,
True.
you know, like there's a lot of people out there who think that, oh, I've only got, a technical, like a 2-year degree or like a 2-year certificate or a 3-year degree or whatever, associate's degree, and therefore I can't work as a design engineer. That's in some countries that's true. In others, it's complete and utter bull.
Right.
And so they limit themselves. They limit themselves in their thinking of what jobs they can go after.
Right.
So I would get out of that mindset first thing. Get out of that mindset. At least
However,
go for.
No, I think
jobs.
no, I think we should. I mean, I think we've mentioned this before, but we should bring it up again. It's like it depends on what kind of job you want, right? So if
oh yeah, no,
if
totally.
If Xander's at a working at like a defense contractor, it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to get an EE design job there without a degree.
Medical, not in my experience. Medical is a better example. A really heavily regulated industry. Medical.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. I guess
maybe
I do.
In the US, it's
I guess
different,
military.
but here
I think.
it's
Yeah,
not.
I guess I do know some people.
No.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's true. But yeah, there are certain industries or certain companies. Maybe companies is even a better way to say it. But there are certain companies that are going to be, like Google's written about. They don't care anymore. They say it's all job experience or it's all experience. It's not even job experience. And personally, I agree with that. I think that's pretty clear. I think Dave does too.
And that's the thing I would do. If you think you're reasonable at design, if you think you've got some useful skills to offer in the design space because of the hobby projects or whatever you've worked on, then by all means go for jobs where those skills are requirements and show them your stuff.
Yep.
And you might get lucky and they go, hey, yeah, we don't care if you've got a degree or not, associate's degree. You've already got your, what is it, a 2 or 3 year associate degree or whatever. Yep. They might go, hey, that's good enough, or we don't care at all. We love this
Just
project that you did.
Show us the experience. Yeah.
Yeah, we love this project you did. It's exactly the skill set we want. You're hired.
Yep.
I mean,
I think it's like you won't be going through monster.com, but if you're going through monster.com already, you know how terrible
you're right.
that is. So,
anyway, I do want to do another video on exactly this. Well, not quite, but close. Anyway,
okay.
So that's tip number 1, is to get out of that mindset. B is right. I think what he's getting at is that I assume it's a he.
Yeah, that was a bad assumption last time too.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't think the last one was a he either. So anonymous software person.
Right. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes. Second, I'll
blah,
get
blah,
there
blah.
eventually.
I want to make this into a video. I want to make that into a video. I want to make this into a video. I think
I know.
I think that's where you're going, basically.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, the second one, I think what they're getting at there is that they want to study how to get the knowledge. Well, I assume the knowledge there by that they're talking about as in get the EE degree.
I think it's the degree, the paper, yeah. And
right.
there's
part-time ones. There's part-time
ones and there's online ones too. I mean, especially if you already have the experience and you just need the paper. There are some seemingly some decent ones where you can actually get the piece of paper at the end of it. If that is the gating factor for you, I mean, I think Arizona State has one now, and they've got a great engineering program on campus, I know. So,
but I would recommend in the US, I've heard this before. I don't know firsthand, but I've heard that there, I think, Devise, what's the name of that? It's like a private university in quote marks. And they
for
offer...
profit?
Yeah, and they offer degrees in quote marks in engineering, and they're not really accepted in the industry.
Right.
So just be
ABET accredited is what you're looking for. That's the
right. Is it okay? Right.
Yeah, that's the ABET is that's what accredits the in-person ones, and you can get ones that are online. And I think there are some lists online that I'll try and find a list.
Yeah.
Because there are some online programs.
Stick to an established one. And also, we should mention the many excellent MIT ones and other universities have their entire courses online.
Right.
So start watching those now.
Right. Well, it seems like, though, that this person is not struggling for the technical content. It's more about the degree. I think there are
right.
If someone is like, I want to start from scratch, it's like, okay, well, especially know how you work, right? So if you work well in groups, if you need person-to-person interaction, online's not the way to go. Like maybe find
of course, yeah.
Like, so we were talking to Alexander about the math stuff, right? So that's important too. Like if you know you need tutoring or whatever, find those resources, but you can still try and keep costs low, because that is.
But one of the things, he's already got an associate's degree, right? Which is either 2 or 3 years, depending on which sort of country you're in. Yeah. And that's, not far off a full degree, right? So often the decision might come down to which university offers the most credit for your particular associate degree, because you don't want to start from scratch again.
Right.
That sucks. So yeah, it might be about the credit that they're willing to offer you for all your existing knowledge.
Right.
So you might have to do the math. So you might, you'll probably get out of Math 101 or whatever it is, right? You get it, but the higher level math, higher level physics, you might have to take those, and some of the higher level theory classes. Yeah. You'll have to take, but it could all come down to that. Yes. What they're willing to. Who's willing to recognise your associate's degree and what credit you get.
Well, and as luck would have it, we have another question here about that kind of thing. So Artem wrote in about a lot of this as well, basically about, when will this shift happen, basically?
What shift?
So do you expect to see the shift? So the shift away from formalized education, kind of like the thing with Google, right? So do we imagine that happening in the electronics industry? Personally, I do not expect that anytime soon.
But it's
what are your thoughts on how to go about getting education out there to the kids and adults who can't hope to afford the college/university, right? So that's the real question, I think.
To me, nothing's really changed a huge amount in, I don't know, the last 50 years or whatever. It's like, you've always been able to get a job in the industry without any formal knowledge. It's probably just as hard / easy as it is now, as it was 30, 40, 50 years ago, I suspect.
Well, no, I think I'm guessing, I would guess that there's a little bit of frustration. We have people on the show that are obviously, top performers, right? And a lot of them have non-traditional career paths, right?
Right.
And so it seems like that's a lot of that stuff out there, but then when you actually go to look for that, but the problem is there is no path there, right? A lot of the people we have on the show have kind of struck their own path, or they've figured out different ways to get around needing a degree, or you know what I mean? Like there is not going, like I said, there's not going to be a monster.com listing for this kind of stuff. And that's the unfortunate piece. That's also the exciting piece. And
And once again, it depends on your country thoroughly. Like here, it's
you guys don't have any jobs anyways.
No, right. But in my experience, the qualifications are the last things people look at, which is why you put it down at the bottom of your resume once you have experience. It's like nobody cares. Right?
Yeah, that's everywhere. But it's a lot of the people I think that ask these questions are
the US.
Starting out.
No, I was going to say in the US has a lot more university snobbery than here. Here, nobody cares if you went to the University of New South Wales or the University of Western Sydney or the University of Wollongong. Nobody cares.
Right.
But in the US, you went to MIT. Oh, you didn't go to an Ivy League engineering school?
I would maybe agree with that first statement. It catches my eye when I'm like, oh, Stanford, MIT, like stuff like that. Sure.
Right.
But I never have discounted someone for...
No, exactly. But we don't have the same sense of Ivy League snobbery here as in the US. Right. Like you just said it yourself, right? Your ears might perk up if you see that somebody's
right, but I don't discount someone. No, right? I don't discount someone for going to like Ohio State.
No, I'm not saying you do, but you just said it yourself that your ears might perk. Oh, they're from MIT, so you might get a bit of a warm fuzzy.
Yeah, but if someone from MIT applied to a job in Australia, I'm sure their ears would perk up too. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that's a regional thing, but it's just also like it's a notoriety thing. I know what you're saying, but I just wholly disagree with it. The Amp Hour. Right. Chris wholly disagrees with Dave for an hour each week. for 6 years.
There's got to be a T-shirt in it.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
Don't worry. Dave disagrees with Chris too. We agree on some things. So there is no, especially I think it does warrant calling out that there is no defined path for like the non-university method. I think that the university methods, though, I think those are shrinking as well, right? So go to good school.
Shrinking in what way?
Go to career fair.
The number of people?
The number of availabilities, number of available jobs that there are in that method as well, right? I think so. So here's what I talk to people about, right? Especially when I meet someone. I met someone who was he's like the chief architect or whatever, like basically he's been technical his whole career. He's still working in electronics. He's still doing that kind of thing. And I looked at him like, I am super impressed that you've been able to work on stuff that you've enjoyed your whole career. But the chance that I will be working for another company doing technical stuff or any of my peers doing that, like I think the only thing, especially in 30 years in the future from now, is if you want to be doing technical stuff, you're going to be working for yourself, right? That is striking your own path, or you're going to be doing, 100%. Yeah, in the majority case, I don't see it because just there's consolidation and there's and because to be completely honest, I mean this is getting off top of the topic of jobs. The people that I know who have been in jobs in a technical role for a long time, they get crapped on. Like they just because where are they going to go? They don't know how to manage people, right? They are super experts at this one thing. And basically, when that one thing is not needed anymore, or when they think they can, get it cheaper somewhere else, right? They do. I mean, so like that's what I mean. Like, if you're not a consultant at that point and running your own show, then you're screwed. So, my advice is to have people move that up in their careers.
No, there's always good jobs at big companies. There always will be.
I mean, yes, maybe good jobs, but not what people expect, not like pinnacle of the career kind of jobs.
Well, it's even when you work for yourself, it's not what you expect. Being a consultant is not the holy grail.
Yeah, no.
Jeez, it can be worse than working for the man.
This is not a sunshine and butterflies. This is if you want some semblance of control.
No, even control as a consultant. As a contractor,
everybody, you're right. Everybody's got to answer to someone. It's who your boss is, either a person, right, your manager, or your customers, or if you're running a company, the board. Everybody has people who are telling them what to do. But it's
pretty much
you can choose which one that is. And I think that increasingly, if you look at like corporate structures in the next 30 years, I just don't think that being at the top in a corporate structure is going to be what it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Oh, it's not going to be what it was, but it's not going to vanish.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's not going to vanish, but I just don't think it's not getting better, Dave. That's what I mean. Like I just don't think it's getting better.
I'd agree it's not getting better. Yeah, but it's not going to vanish or be completely so crap that you're never going to want to do it.
I'm not going to want to do it. And I think that a lot of people, if they look that far into the future, right? Like a lot of people plan that because, okay, here's the problem, right? I'm getting worked up here. If I go to someone right now who is, so if I talk to this guy I was talking to, Lou, who is really nice, and I ask him for advice, Lou, what should I do? What is the advice he's going to give me?
Whatever he's familiar with.
Do what I did, right? It's like,
right, exactly.
And granted, that's how advice goes a lot of the times, but I just don't think that it's even possible, right? He's been at this place for 30 years. I just don't think that that's realistic.
Oh, so, no. That's, I totally agree. That's changing where, you had a job for life. Yeah.
Right. And because of that, I mean, it's a feedback system too, where, companies are like, oh, well, we're also not going to treat our people well because they won't stick around. And I'm not going to stick around because my company's not treating me well, back and forth. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. But I just don't think, I think that if you want to be a technical expert, like a 30-year technical expert somewhere, it's got to be, you got to be a Jack Ansel. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I can kind of, sort of.
Okay, well, you let me know when you're going back to work for a big corporate entity. Dave.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Okay, sure, okay.
But that doesn't mean other people shouldn't. I mean,
right. What we're trying to say is don't listen to anyone's advice, including ours.
Right.
Yes.
Like, you can't just give general opinion and advice about this sort of stuff. Everyone is different. Everyone has different needs and wants, and no, doesn't work.
Okay. Well, that's the end of the AMP Hour. We're gonna shut down the whole show because why should you bother listening to us?
No, we shouldn't bother. No, let's just give up.
No one calls in.
Come on, next
why
question.
should you bother?
They never call. They never write.
So I do have one here. I don't actually know anything of what he was talking about. So I just sent you.
Are we talking about Todd the Youper?
The Youper.
What's a Youper?
I believe it's. I think Todd might have called in before, but Youper is usually from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Oh,
so
right.
The UP.
Yes, you've mentioned that before.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Right. Got it.
So I personally have no idea what he's talking about here, but you know.
Are you familiar with magnetorestrictive delay line memory? No.
Okay, keep going here because these other things I don't really understand either.
I have a torsional version from an old Freedom 132 calculator from the mid-60s, one of the first solid-state calcs. Oh, diode transistor logic. Beauty. Featuring 4-stack RPM and square root, all displayed on electronic deflection CRT. Sweet. At any rate, I'm getting, it's on its way. I'm getting a CRT calculator anyway.
You are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Nice.
Another retro tear down and play.
Nice.
Fantastic. Anyway, at any rate, planning to build a test circuit suitable for display. If successful, would either of you be interested in playing with it, perhaps showing for a larger audience? Oh, there's a link to it.
I have no idea what this is still. Right. So,
I've seen this before.
You're the calculator nerd, right? So
I'm the calculator nerd.
So RPN is
reverse Polish notation. Yes.
As a Polish person, that's kind of, is that, am I supposed to be?
It's basically what the HP, when people think of RPN, they think of HP, right?
Oh, wow.
HP
This is a crazy looking
RPN
calculator. This thing was portable? This is a portable. So this is the Freedom.
Damn right, this was portable. Yep.
EC
Probably weighs
132.
50 pound in the
in
the old money.
Oh, that's pretty cool looking though. It's got a huge CRT tube.
Anyway, RPN's based on a stack-based system. So instead of going 10 plus something, so instead of having like the operator in the middle, you go 10, enter onto the stack. So that's why RPN calculators have an enter key. You go 10, enter onto the stack, 20, enter onto the stack, and then you do the operator. So you put things on the stack first and then operate on them, rather than...
So it'd be 10, enter, 20, enter plus?
Yes, correct.
Enter? Is that right?
Yes.
So then it would.
You wouldn't have to
show
press
30?
enter. The plus would. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
so the operator is the determinant of when it's ready to go.
It basically has its own enter kind of thing. Or you don't even need to do the second enter. You could just enter it in and then plus, and it automatically smart enough to know, oh, I want to put that on the stack. But it's basically a stack-based system. And it can have advantages in certain... It's quicker and like fewer keystrokes in certain circumstances and more in other circumstances. So, you're either an RPN fanboy or you aren't.
Well, I always associate it with like good engineers, but it's only because they're old.
And they use HP calculators and the HP
exactly.
calculators.
Just because they've been doing it for 20 years,
Right, okay.
Yeah.
RPN equals smart guy with a grey beard, right?
Right, exactly. Right.
Okay. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Anyway, my MicroWatch, my scientific calculator watch had RPN. Had both, actually. You could switch.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, that's the main thing. Like, I get one in my hands, and I'm just like, I
no,
was
it's
getting
foreign,
tutored by one of these guys, one of these graybeards, and he's like, "Yeah, just put it in the calculator." I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at here, man.
It's always a fun trick to give an eye. I used to do. I do have a collection of RPN calculators, HP ones, and I I used to use them at work sometimes, and someone goes, "Can I borrow your calculator?" Sure. And a big grin on my face, and and they walk away. What's he grinning for? And I watch them try and use it. It's hilarious. Oh man. Yep. Yeah. I've had people come back and I said, your calculator's broken. It doesn't work.
Yeah, usually it dawns on me to at least switch it around a little bit. So
anyway, CRT calculator, cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll link in the pics. Oh, look at that, all discreet.
Yeah.
Well, he said it was diode transistor logic, yeah. So
yeah, with
DTL.
the card edge plugins.
All
and
the
stuff.
card edge plugins with all the individual transistors on them. Wow.
All the hand drawn traces, the curvies.
Oh, you can see all 4 lines on the stack on the CRT.
Oh yeah, nice.
Oh, it's
cool.
like a 15-digit display too. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's only
sweet as.
Dude, that thing must have been so
Anyway,
heavy.
normally I'd be interested in these things, but this would cost a fortune to ship to Australia. It's just crazy. So
He's got the voltage rating on at the bottom. 115 volts AC, half an amp.
half an amp for your calculator. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing like a 60-watt calculator, guys.
Oh, that's terrific. So sorry, what was the question? The question was, would we want to play with it? Yeah, but it's not economical to do so.
We have a little bit of time left since we ran out of questions. People, well, I can't believe. Well, you know what? This is gonna be the last question thing for a while anyway. So
Could this be the last call-in show because it's been a miserable failure, or was our promotion?
Yeah, maybe we just need
a
bigger break. I don't know. The last one was like 293. This one's 307. I think the last one was
that's a big break.
March. Yeah. So
no, we've had enough break. I just think nobody cares. People just want to listen to us while they're on the toilet.
Everybody's figured it out, you know? Yeah. After the last one where we had no idea what we were talking about, that's probably why. They didn't want to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we have no idea. We can't answer the bloody questions anyway.
Yeah. I did want to call out the fact that Electron Update took pictures of the die after they blew up your EEVblog microcurrent.
Yes, I saw that, and
that was so cool.
I corresponded with them. I offered some boards to them to do the other chips, but they're sort of they've lost interest in it a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah. So that wasn't like they tried to do all the chips, but they lost them or something. It didn't work, so they only got one of the chips on there, which was the voltage supervisor.
Yeah.
So sadly it wasn't the amp, the Max 4239 chopper amp. So,
oh yeah. I was gonna say op amps are usually a little bit boring, but yeah, chopper amps.
But chopper
more
amp would be might be more interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a die shot of a chopper amp. So maybe it's like different in some way. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, and that also just to call out, there's a lot of. I mean, I love these kind of things. So like, there's so this site does some of that with the up close microscopy of the die. What's that other? There's like a Russian site too, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Yep. I can't remember now.
You can probably just Google Russian chip.
Yeah, Russian die photos. Yeah,
Russian chip photos. Oh my God! It's pictures of Papa's.
Don't type in Russian die photos. Yeah.
Russian. Yeah. No. This is like potato chips. It's like all the brand bags of silicon photos is probably a better one, huh?
Yeah.
The things we find.
Lay's chips, Poppers brand chips.
Yeah. Anyways, if I find it all. Yeah, I remember it's a .ru, so something.
Ooh, what's this photo? Russian geek puts your CPU collection to shame. Oh, sorry, I've got to click on this.
Yeah.
Got to click on this link.
Okay. Yeah. So.
He's like, this Russian guy proudly taking a selfie with his collection of CPUs. Oh, I've got to link this in. This is cool. I'll send you the link. Here we go.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's like he's proud of his collection.
On the list, not too much on this week, but I have been posting a bunch of talk. Like, so you know how I always talk about I do those talks out in San Francisco, or I host the talks rather. Yep. Mike Harrison did a really good one. Yeah,
I saw that. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I skipped. I couldn't spend the whole hour, but I skipped through various bits.
Yeah, it's 43 minutes. It's worth the whole thing. There was one from back in February too, where James Lewis, Bald Engineer on Twitter, he did a great one about capacitors. That was on Hackaday too.
Right. That was you sitting down in the bottom left corner, right? Of the video.
No,
it
maybe.
Wasn't you?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Like
I don't know.
You were sitting in the front row with
in and out.
a guy.
Right. Yeah. So it doesn't actually affect the presentation.
The quality of the content.
That's the important thing. Yeah. No, but these are just great. Like some of these talks have been so fantastic. So I'll keep posting them. I got a bunch of video to edit, but it's
sweet.
There's been some great talks. So
I should do something like that. I should hold a talks thing where people can come and give a talk, and I put it up on my channel.
Yeah, well, you've done what, Ignite Talks before there, or you've done some Sydney thing?
I've done an Ignite Talk, yes, an Ignite Talk. But that's different kind of, it's not a, it's a bit of a different ball game.
Yeah. So and to be honest, you run out of people. That's the hard part, right?
Right.
I've run out of people I know.
Found that. Okay, so you're running out of people to give talks.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, like,
right, so you've tapped everyone.
Not everyone, but like also availability, stuff like that. So if people are ever in San Francisco and they think they'd love to give a talk, shoot me an email. I'd love to hear from you too, and I'll make sure the video looks nice. Because
the good thing is that you're not presenting in front of 1,000 people, so there's no pressure.
Oh yeah. There's no pressure there. It's just goes on the internet. So that's a good thing though. You should get your stuff out there.
Yeah, it's good. Whereas the Ignite Talk thing's different. It's like you've got to get up and give a totally scripted talk, non-stop to 500 to 1,000 people.
Oh wow, really?
Oh yeah.
That's nerve-wracking. Right, especially it's not like, so this is another thing too, like, so the people that at these talks that I do, it's usually nerds talking to nerds kind of thing, and that is another thing that really helps. Like, it really helped me, where it was like everyone in the crowd's like nodding their head when you're talking about like caps and op amps and stuff like that. Like that is if you think you ever want to do talks, not even these events, like Maker Faire, stuff like that, any if you think you'd like to give a talk at some point, try and get like a friendly audience like that as your first time, because and
it helps when there's no time limit, because if you or it might be an hour or something like that, and if you've got prepared slides, like, you don't have to memorize stuff. You can put the slides up and just talk off the cuff, and
some people want to do. I mean, doing scripted is usually it's a little bit more stifled. Be honest, I think I like. I mean, obviously you and I do off the cuff pretty often, and I think that's the best way to do it. But if you get some deep technical content, then sometimes you need reference points.
Well, that's why you have bullet points and slides. That's why it becomes a death by PowerPoint, because nobody can remember a 1 hour talk. You have to be a professional stand-up comedian and rehearse it for 3 months before you can do a 1 hour stand-up routine, right? Yeah. So
So what we're trying to say is that you should take your electronics presentation and go to a comedy club.
Because
what's the deal with op amps?
I made that mistake once. I was invited to give a talk on YouTube video blogging at a video bloggers event here in Sydney, and I thought, I know this type. I don't have to prepare anything. So I turned up with basically nothing prepared, no death by PowerPoint. And 3 hours later,
holy moly,
people were going, sorry, I've got to leave. Like, it's late, I've got to leave, and I'm still talking.
Oh my God.
You've got to have that PowerPoint.
Right. Well, that is a reason to gate yourself at least a little bit, or at least set a timer, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's rough.
Man.
It's a good skill to have, though, I think. I mean, like, in general, like, you're probably going to be asked to do that at some point, so it's better to do it the first time and be nervous in front of a friendly audience on your own terms, that kind of thing. So wherever you can, if you're interested in doing that kind of thing, I think it is good for your career, I think. Just
totally.
to have that.
Totally. It's good for job interviews too.
That's true.
It gives you confidence to talk about your stuff in job interviews.
Yeah. That'd be interesting to see, like, someone walk in with, like, not a deck of PowerPoints, but like, or maybe if you did, you just like pull out your own little micro projector and you're just like, and you'll see here on figure 1. Here's how I saved my company $100,000 last year.
No, it's all about confidence. Like, if somebody brings out their stuff and talks confidently and can talk confidently about it,
that's true.
Like, that's a huge tick, right? Whereas somebody fumbles around, like,
right.
Yeah,
Right, and I don't think that's extrovert versus introvert. It's just how well you know the stuff. Like, anyone, you could be the most introverted person in the world, and if you know your stuff, you're probably going to want to talk about it, and
you can come across very confidently.
Yeah, exactly.
You're talking about your stuff, so
right.
Yeah. So it helps. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah. What else we got? Anything else? There's lots of links. You can go on there.
There's lots of links.
Links,
Yeah, there's links.
Cool. All right, so you are going on vacation again or something. You're going to be away for something, and I'm going to be traveling. So we are going to have some guest shows, but they'll be probably pre-recorded type stuff. So some weirdness coming, but nothing you haven't heard us do before. So
yep. And what's this holiday business?
I said you were going on holiday.
No, I'm having my knee operation.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The holiday where they dig around in your knee a bit, right?
So the opposite of fun. I'll be in pain.
That's true. Yeah, that's what it was. Sorry, I forgot. You'll be so hopped up on meds. You'll think you're on a beach,
You're right.
My knee hurts, but I really want to go swimming right now. Well, good luck with that, buddy. You're going to be fine.
Cool.
You'll be fine.
Thank you very much. My first op.
Yeah, you'll be great. All right, well, last call-in show for a little while, but thanks to Alexander for calling in. We appreciate that. And everybody who wrote in, too, we appreciate that.
That was a good question, so
yeah.
So it works, we just don't get much quantity.
Yeah, that's because you're in a weird Aussie timeline. That's the problem.
Okay.
All right.
Catch you next time.
Talk to you soon, buddy.